I've been hacked. What do I do now? My personal story. First, let's talk about the difference between hack and breach. To be hacked or to be breached. To be hacked is an assault against you specifically. It's someone trying to break into your phone or trying to get into one of your accounts or trying to get into your computer. And they would, of course, steal your data, your information. A breach is where they do the same. They try to get into the computers of a company. They try to get into the accounts of a company where your information is stored, where your email, where your passwords, where your name and address and social security and work information, everything that's needed to do fraudulent actions concerning your credit. So hacked personal, breach a company, but it's still about getting your stuff. A breach is, breaches are very common. We know that Facebook was breached and they lost information on 50 million people. We know that Equifax, the credit people, were breached and they lost information on 140 million people. We know LinkedIn was breached and they lost information on 170 million people. We know the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service, the tax people for the U.S. government, they were actually hacked more than one time. So many times that they're not really saying how many people they lost information on, how many records they lost. They won't even say. They'll just say, it happened. If it happened to you, do this. That's what the IRS will say. Hacker skill levels. Contrary to what we see on TV, most hackers are not masterminds. You've got the lower end of the wrong. It's often referred to as script kiddies. A script is a small, simple program used to do something. Usually used to automate something, to make something happen one step after another step. And then you have the real hackers, the real brains, the really, really smart people. In the underground world, the way it works now is there's a team that hacks you, generally speaking. A script kiddie is given instructions to do something, and he goes out and does it. For example, let's say to hack your computer, it takes 3 really hard steps. Step 1, step 2, Step 3, the real brains, the hacker, the black hat hacker that can do this, that wrote that program, is not going to be sitting down behind a computer trying to break into your system. More than likely, he has an association with a script kiddie, a group of them. They work in a big company, or they steal stuff and they bring it to the hacker they want to steal stuff. They come to the big hacker. He gives them a methodology, a way to do it, and then they owe him a piece of what they stole. So the way it happens is it takes 3 big steps to get into your computer, for example. The big hacker gives these 3 big steps, these 3 major programs to the script kiddie, and the script kiddie he goes, I'm going to break into your account. And so he starts doing his thing, and he does what he has to do to access, to break in, to compromise your account. And then after he completes step 1, then he goes to step 2, and he does this and he does that until he compromises you to that level. And then he goes to step 3, and then he does this and he does that and he does this until he has compromised you. If he's smart, he's able to link steps 1 and 2 so that he just presses a button once and step 1 happens automatically, and when it finishes it moves to step 2, and then when it finishes it moves to step 3. That's called automating the process, where he doesn't have to do so much. He buys the big package, the big complicated programming from someone else, and he links the little bitty pieces together until they do it. If he's really one of the better script kiddies, then he can get like a list of 50,000 people and write a script, a program that says, okay, I want you to apply these 1, 2, 3 steps to the first person on the list. And then when you're done, the second person on the list. And then the third person on the list. And then the fourth person on the list. And that way he doesn't have to do it all himself. So if he is an above average script kiddie, he is able to automate the process and become more successful that way. But the real hacker, the brains behind it all, you're generally not dealing with him. And specifically, it's very rare that one of those guys is coming after you. What happens in general is there's a very wide net thrown out, and it is hoped that you will carelessly wander into that where you can be hacked. Perhaps they will find a website that is weak, and they will break into that website, and they will put their stuff in that website so that when you come to visit that website, the things that they put in attack your system. It compromises your system, and then you are compromised. You have been hacked. Things go. That way, when it gets traced back to that website, the original hacker isn't blamed for it because that's not his website. He found someone else's website and he put the evil doings on that website. Amongst the skills that a script kiddie has, sometimes they're good at social engineering. Social engineering is when they call you up and they go, "Hi, I'm with Microsoft. I see on the computer that you've been hacked. We can fix that for you. It's going to cost you $125. Or if you just put this code in there, we'll fix it for you for free." You put the code in there and you give them access to your computer. Or they may straight out ask you, "Give me your password," and you give them the password. Or they'll tell you to log into this site. Anyway, through talking to you, that's how they get in your system. That's called social engineering. Or sometimes they call and they pretend that, "Oh, you just won a contest. We just need a little bit more information from you. Give me your name, give me that," and they get the information that they lack to take you to the next step of compromising your person. Maybe they get enough information to go to your bank, and then they go to your bank and pretend that they are you, and then that's how they get to your stuff. Then they take out a loan in your name and you're screwed. You can also be phished, not F-I-S-H, but P-H-I-S-I-N-G. Phishing is they'll send you some email and try to get you to click on it, or they'll send you a message and try to get you to click on it. The programming is in that email, that message. You click on it, it accesses your computer, and you've been hacked. You've been pwned. So that's generally what the script kiddie does. He's not the mastermind that sits down and does all that magic keyboard work and gets into your stuff. And he certainly is not chasing you in particular. He's just throwing a big net out there. He hopes you do something foolish and step in. My experience, what happened to me? Well, I got an email that said, "Your account's infected. Change your password now. You'll never find me. Don't try." What I did was, this is a guy talking, I found a porn site and I put my bad workings in there, and you came across it, and now your system's infected, and while you were looking at porn, I was looking at you. That's what they said. He claims that he pwned me. Pwned means he got my email address, passwords. He got inside my system to such a degree that he can control it. He claims to have access over my web camera, meaning that he can turn it on and off whenever he wants to. He can watch me whenever he wants to. He claims to have access to my email so that he can send emails to people on my contact list or anybody he wants, and they will think that I did it because he will make it look like it was me that did it because it's my email, according to him. He claims that he compromised my system and now can do anything on my system that I can do. So in theory, he can be across the ocean and access my system just like he was sitting right in front of it. He claims that he has copies of all my files and whatever valuable stuff I have on there, he now has. He claims that when he hacked my system, he got pictures off my computer that were inappropriate. Maybe I was sending them to my girlfriend or something like that, or even if I was on a video on a porn site, maybe I was misbehaving or something like pleasuring myself. Let's just call it that. That's what he claims. And with all those claims, he issues a threat, and this is his threat: give me $1,000 using Bitcoin, or else what? Or else I will send out this picture to everybody that you know. I will send out this picture to everybody on your contact list, everybody that you have emailed, everybody that has emailed you, everybody on your social media accounts, your Facebooks, your Skypes, or whatever. So I will send out this embarrassing video to them. That is what he's saying. I'll even post this on your Facebook site as the type of thing, or your YouTube site, or whatever. So, how did I handle this? I've been hacked. What do I do now? I called his bluff. I bet that he was lying. People go, my God, how could you take such a chance? That would be terribly embarrassing if it were true, and he could do that. But to the best of my knowledge, it's not true. I once signed up for an account called LinkedIn. LinkedIn is kind of like a Facebook, only it's for business people or people who work that are trying to make other contacts so that these business people can help these other business people, or these people with jobs in this field can help these other people with jobs. Personal networking is what it's called. And professionals use these sites. And they were hacked. I believe they lost the records to 70 million people. Furthermore, they were hacked 8-9 years ago. I know because oftentimes when these big sites are hacked, a good guy, a white hat hacker, will get all the information, will get all these emails, he'll put it in a big database, and he'll tell you, put your email in here. If your email is in here, if you've been hacked, you will find your email, and then you know that you need to change your passwords and you need to take some extra security precautions. So I went to one of those databases and I did that, and I found out that I was hacked when I heard that LinkedIn was hacked, and so I immediately changed my email address. That's like 8-9 years ago. I have a lot of emails, and I have emails for different types of things. You ever been surfing on the internet and you want to look at a site and they say, you have to sign up for us. You have to sign in and give us your name and email address. Well, I have an email that I use for that kind of place. I call it junk. Maybe I'll call it junk, and I'll call it Field Junk 1. And then the next site I run into, I'll call it Field Junk 2, junk mail. And so whenever I get any mail back and it says junk, I know it came from one of those sites, and I'm not going to pay any attention to it. And eventually I close that email out. So the email that this hacker is threatening that he used to hack me with was one of those junk emails. Did I mention that the way he informed me that he hacked me was he sent me an email that looked like it came from me. It had my name, it had my email address. It looked like it came from my account. To the untrained eye, that might fool you, but I know how to look at an email and tell where it actually came from. The act of tricking someone with that email, of generating an email that is not yours but looks like someone else's is called spoofing. So I know what a spoofed email looks like, and I know how to look at it and tell where it actually came from. So when I got that, I knew that he didn't have my emails. I surmised, I guessed that maybe he got my name off of that LinkedIn account. I know I was hacked there. So what he did was, there was like 50, 70 million. So maybe he got a hold of 50,000, 100,000 of those names. He wrote a script and it said, send this letter, take this email off this list, put it in here, send this letter to that person. And then the next one, take this letter, this email off this list, put it in this email, send it to that person. Hacking quite often is a game of numbers. He might have 50, 100,000 names. He's got 100,000 names. 90,000 times it's not going to work. 10,000 times maybe it won't work. And then the information that he did that would have scared some people, maybe 2,000 or 3,000 of them will end up paying. So just by numbers, starting with 100,000 people, ending up with 3,000 or 500 people to pay, that could be quite lucrative. There's a lot of money in that bad stuff. Of course, if you get caught, you're going to jail, and you can't really spend your money in jail now, can you? So me being aware that I was on a site, LinkedIn, that was hacked, and me seeing the email that he used to send that back to me made me suspicious and made me start to think that this might be a bluff. So that's why I was able to call his bluff. I did nothing, and nothing happened. What do I know about him? The guy that tried this hacking thing. I suspect that he was not American, or English was not his first language, because I could tell from the letter that he wrote the grammatical errors. You could tell from the letter he wrote. Just poor English. Not to mention that I taught English as a second language for 10 years, so I can look at the letter and pretty much guess where I think he was from. I believe that letter was automated. Like I said, he started out with 100,000. He just sent it out to so many people, hoping that one person would respond. Because the information on there, some of it applied to me, some of it was very specific, very exact, very accurate in how it described me, and some of it was not. So I'm believing he sent it to more than one person, and these traits, these personality traits, these traits that he has applies to most people. And most people sit and they go, oh my goodness, he got me. No, what you are is a regular person, very common in many aspects, and that's why it looks like he belongs to you. When he told me to change my password immediately, I was thinking that he got LinkedIn, 70 million people's information leaked. Maybe he got a small portion of that, 50,000 or 100,000, and other hackers, other script kiddies got their part. And so these are the hundreds of them, thousands of them doing this, and he's worried that one of those people will get to me before he is able to get to me or extort me. So his thing is, change your password, and that way you'll be protected from them, and only I can harass you. There is a possibility that when they get your email, they get your password. It's not guaranteed, but it's possible. It happens on many occasions. And so he tells me to change my password, and he's already in, according to him, when in reality he probably just spoofed me. But he is able to do business with me, to extort me, to take money from me, and he doesn't want others to do it. Looking at that, I'm thinking he is not very high on the list of hackers in the world of hackers. I'm thinking he is a lower level, a novice, a beginner, and he works for a big company. I hate to call it a big company, but these things are actually companies. They're criminal organizations, and he is part of one, and he's just a very smart and small part, and he takes his information, he gets his instructions from a real hacker, the big guy. That big guy is probably running hundreds of people like him. He's got hundreds of script kiddies working for him. How to recover. What did I do when I thought I was hacked, or what did I do just in case? I didn't believe that he hacked me, but I still had to behave as though he did and take the necessary security precautions. And I'd advise you to do pretty much the same thing that I'm going to tell you here if you should find yourself in this situation. I changed the password on my email immediately. I changed the password on my banking and financial accounts immediately. Then I did a deep scan looking for viruses, rootkits, and heuristic activities. That you don't need to do. That's me, because I'm a security person and I'm interested in who did this. I'm interested in how he did, what he did. Actually, I might even be interested in tracking him down a little bit. So you don't have to worry about the deep scanning thing, but you do need to secure your machine. So I would recommend that you, as well as I did, format my hard drive. Formatting, generally speaking, is a way of a real detailed erasing of your hard drive. You do that, and it's harder to recover information off your hard drive. Or a restore to factory settings. To restore to factory settings is like when you go to the store where you bought your computer and you got your computer and you open it up. That's factory settings. It hasn't been used by anybody. You turn it on and you answer a few questions, and next thing you know, the computer is running. The factory set it up in a specific way, and then it's not complete installation. It's probably 95% complete. And then you provide your name and stuff, that last 5%, and you complete the installation process. There's a way on your computer that will help you restore it back to factory settings just in case of a situation like this. In case you are hacked and you really need to do something drastic. Restoring it back to factory settings is drastic because you will lose all of your, if it's a good fact, in most cases you'll lose your personal information. If you created some files on there, once you put your name in there and stuff like that, all that stuff will go away. It will be just like you went to the store and you opened the box. That's where you're going to be. That's where you're going to start. You're going to be starting over there fresh again. Oftentimes they offer a way for you to restore your computer and save your data. In this particular case, I would recommend that you not. I would recommend that you take it all the way back to factory storage, because let's say this guy hacked you 4 weeks ago and he just called you last week. If you made a backup or saved some of your personal files, it is possible that what he did is hiding inside one of those files. So if you format it and then put your personal files back on, there's a possibility that you will reinfect yourself. In this case, I recommend that you don't use a backup. You've heard the word backup a million times. You usually stick maybe a thumb drive or one of those pocket drives to your computers, and you copy everything. You make one big copy of everything on your drive on this other drive, and then should you have an emergency, you can go there. That's good. That's really good, and you should do that. And so if you accidentally erase some important file, you can go back and get it. But what we're talking about is a very specific case, and I wouldn't recommend that you use that backup in this situation. So, after you have deep scan formatted, start putting your computer back together. You have, hopefully, your system came with Windows on it or Linux or whatever operating system you're using. Put that on there. First thing you do is let that update itself. An updated computer is much harder to break into. We don't know if this guy got into your computer because you had something that was outdated. Despite what he says, you can't really trust him to tell you the truth. We don't know how he got in, and a computer which has not been updated is easier to break in. Maybe he got in that way. Maybe that's how he compromised you. So let your system update itself. As soon as it updates itself, put a password on there. Me personally, after that, I would go with an antivirus. Lately, in the security world, there's been a lot of talk. Some people saying antiviruses are no longer effective. You no longer need them. I've gone for a long time using or not using an antivirus, but I finally settled on the fact that I'll take the antivirus. It may slow your machine down just a little bit, but you could use that extra set of eyes helping you looking for things. So between an antivirus and a browser that has a blacklist of known bad sites, what I mean by that known blacklist of known bad sites, both Windows and Chrome and all your browsers, they keep track of all the places that have where the hackers, all the places that they are aware of that hackers do bad stuff, and they keep a list, and that list is called a blacklist. And whenever you type in an address on your browser, if you put in one of those addresses, you'll get a warning saying that this is a site known for malicious behavior or malicious software or hacking or something like that. It'll be a warning, and you'll be scared to go there. Trust me when you see it. So between an antivirus and your browser doing that, that's a good help. Truly, the way they get you though is it's you that makes a mistake. They'll send you that email and say, you've got an $8,000 wire transfer. Please fill out this information and we'll tell you how to collect it. You click on it, and when you click on it, your computer gets compromised. Your computer gets hacked at that point. So you put your antivirus on, you put your browser on. At this point, I would say either change the password to your email again, your primary email again, or even get a brand new email. Choose your browser. I've spoken to you previously on which ones I thought were better choices. There are lots of them out there, and they all offer some good things and some bad things. I'm a fan of Chrome, Firefox, and I'll even go Safari, because they have blacklists. They maintain blacklists of known malicious sites, and between that and an antivirus, that's good. And they also have some extensions that really make your browser very useful, very functional. I'm going to tell you to sign into your browser. I'm hoping that you don't have a lot of extensions on your browser, because extensions are another way to be compromised. Sometimes they hack these extensions, and they play something in it, and then you install the extension on your browser, and you're hacked that way. So I'm hoping you have just extensions from well-known, reputable people, and keeping it to a minimal, like 4 or 5. Hopefully these are extensions that are upgraded on a regular basis so that they are not compromised themselves. Then I will follow that up with a password manager. Another reason I wasn't afraid of this hacker is he might have gotten that password, but that's all he got. So what? He can get into my LinkedIn account. But all my other passwords, every other site that I go to has its own password. If I've got 40 social media sites, then I have 40 passwords. A password manager helps you do that. You remember one master password for your password manager, and then you tell your password manager to give each individual site application its own password, so that if you are compromised, that shuts them down there. They can't get there. If they all had one password and they got that one password, then they could own you. They would own you. They could have all of your information, and then you would be in really bad situation. As you are downloading the software that you need to rebuild your system again, get it from the website of the programmer, the place that made it. If you're going to download Adobe, go to the Adobe website. If you're going to download Firefox, go to the Firefox website. Yes, I know there are other places that you can download. You can download Firefox from other places other than the Firefox or Mozilla website. I recommend you go back to the Firefox place. Sometimes these other sites, they compromise you. They do some modification to the programs to benefit themselves. And so you don't want to fall victim to that. As I download each and every program from these sites, I go there because they're new. They're as updated as they're going to be. And if I get it from the person who wrote the program, the company that produces the program, then the chances of being hacked are less. And then when I'm downloading, you can either download and install that to your computer right away, or you can save the file. I save it to my desktop. Then I go to a place called VirusTotal. I'll leave a link at the bottom of this presentation so that you'll know where this and the other places I mentioned are. And when you go to VirusTotal, you give it a file, the file that you just downloaded, and it scans it with 60 or so antivirus programs. 60 antivirus programs scan that file in like 15 seconds. So the chances of that file being infected are reduced dramatically. So now you're building a computer, and that computer that you're building is, the chances are, if you follow these steps, is going to be a clean one, an uninfected one, an uncompromised one. That's the way you want to go. When I get to things like my bank account, I would change that password one more time, and then I would do something. I would enact two-factor authentication, or multi-factor authentication. You know, where when you sign into your banking account, maybe it sends you an email to your phone, and then you have to take the code from the phone and put that into your computer, or you have to show it your eyes, retina scan. It slows down the process of you getting into your account, but it also makes it incredibly difficult for the hackers to do that. A hacker might have hacked your computer, but I doubt that he hacked your computer and has your phone. Or a hacker might have hacked your cell phone, but I doubt that he hacked your cell phone and has your eyes to unlock it. You know what I mean? So with multi-factor authentication or two-factor authentication,